After divorce, he forced his pregnant ex-wife to sing at his wedding, unaware. His little girl would disgrace him with her song. The bride was halfway down the aisle when Julian, Pierce's 6-year-old daughter, walked through the back doors of the wedding. He didn't see her at first. He was too busy watching his light-skinned upgrade glide toward him in a $40,000 dress, too focused on the 250 guests witnessing his ascension into Atlanta's elite, too satisfied with himself for hiring his pregnant black ex-wife to sing at his wedding like hired help. But Simone saw her baby girl enter that ballroom, and her hand, resting on her 8-month pregnant belly, and carrying his second child he didn't know about, trembled as she watched little Zora Bell Pierce in her white Sunday dress and patent leather shoes, clutching that microphone, walking toward the man who abandoned them. "No, baby, not yet. Wait for Mama's signal." But Zora didn't wait, because 6-year-olds don't understand strategy. They only understand pain. "Are you my daddy?" 3 words, spoken in a child's voice that cut through $100,000 worth of wedding music. 3 words that made Julian's face drain of color. 3 words that made his bride stop walking. 3 words that made 250 phones come out to record. But Zora wasn't done. She climbed onto that stage. She took her mama's microphone, and she began to sing a song about the daddy who left, about mama crying at night, about prayers that went unanswered, about a new baby coming that he didn't know about. Every lyric was a bullet. Every note was revenge wrapped in innocence. Every word was truth that Julian had paid $50,000 in hush money to keep buried. And as Simone watched her baby expose the man who'd called them too dark for his image, who'd erased them from his life, who'd forced her into this ballroom to humiliate her one final time, she realized her daughter had just done what she'd spent 6 months carefully planning: total, complete public destruction. But to understand how we got here, to this moment, this reckoning, this perfect revenge, we have to go back. Back to 6 months earlier, when Simone Janet Carter sat in her tiny apartment above her grandmother's soul food restaurant in Sweet Auburn, staring at a wedding invitation that had just arrived in her email. She was 7 months pregnant then. Her daughter Zora was asleep in the next room. The Atlanta summer heat made the small space feel like an oven, even with the fan running. Simone's fingers shook as she read the email from Adrian Montgomery, wedding planner to Atlanta's black elite. "Dear Miss Carter, I've heard wonderful things about your vocal talents. I'm organizing a luxury wedding at the Georgian Club on December 14th, and we're looking for a vocalist. The compensation is $5,000 for the evening. Would you be interested?" $5,000. That was 4 months of rent. That was everything Zora needed for school. That was survival. But then Simone saw the names at the bottom of the email: Julian Christopher Pierce and Vivienne Alexandria Carmichael, her ex-husband, the man who'd looked at her pregnant belly 2 years ago and said, "I can't build an empire with a wife who looks like she just stepped out of the projects." The man who'd told her their daughter was beautiful, but too dark to help my brand. The man who'd given her divorce papers and a check for $50,000 with one condition: sign an NDA and never speak publicly about why he left. Simone had signed it. She'd needed the money. She'd been desperate, but sitting there in that hot apartment, pregnant with his second child from one weak moment 3 months ago when she'd gone to his office to sign paperwork and he'd looked at her like he used to, and she'd been so lonely, and it had happened just once, sitting there. She felt something shift inside her chest. Not heartbreak. Not anymore. Rage, pure, cold, calculated rage. He wanted her to sing at his wedding. He wanted to parade her in front of his new world like a trophy of how far he'd come. "Look at me," he was saying. "I left the hood. I left the dark-skinned girl. I upgraded to someone who fits in the rooms that matter." Simone picked up her phone and called her best friend Kendra. "Girl, you're not going to believe this. Try me. Julian wants me to sing at his wedding." Silence on the other end. Then, "I'm coming over." Kendra arrived 20 minutes later. Still in her nursing scrubs from her shift at Grady Hospital, Carrying 2 pints of ice cream and a bottle of wine she knew Simone couldn't drink, but Kendra definitely could. "Show me the email," Kendra demanded. Simone pulled it up. Kendra read it. Her face went through about 15 different expressions, ending on something between fury and disbelief. This man has the audacity, the sheer, unmitigated audacity, to hire you like you're just some random singer. "He probably doesn't even know it's me yet," Simone said quietly. "The wedding planner found me. But when he sees the contract, when he sees my name, he'll know. And he'll love it," Kendra spat. "He'll love having you there, pregnant and struggling, singing at his fancy wedding while he marries some light, bright socialite. It's a power move, Simone. It's him saying, 'I won.'" Simone was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that made Kendra's eyes go wide. "What if I let him think he won? What if I take the job? What if I show up at that wedding? What if I stand on that stage, 8 months pregnant with his child that he doesn't even know about, and I let him feel powerful for exactly as long as it takes for me to destroy him?" Kendra set down her wine. "Simone, what are you talking about?" Simone stood up and walked to her small desk. She pulled out a notebook, the kind she used to write song lyrics in back when she was at Spelman, back when she dreamed of being a music teacher, back before Julian. "I've been writing," she said softly, "since he left, since he said I wasn't good enough, since he erased Zora from his life like she never existed. I've been writing songs about all of it. The colorism, the abandonment, the lies he told everyone about why we got divorced, the NDA he made me sign. All of it." She opened the notebook. Page after page of lyrics, raw, honest, devastating. "I have a song called Still Here," Simone continued. "It's about surviving someone who tried to erase you. It's about being told you're too black, too dark, too hood, too much, and refusing to disappear. It's about the kind of love that stays even when the person leaves. Simone, he wants me to sing at his wedding. Fine, I'll sing. I'll sing the songs his wedding planner wants. The traditional love songs, the safe songs." But Kendra, her voice dropped to almost a whisper. "What if, at the exact right moment, I sang my song instead? What if I told the truth in front of everyone who matters to him? What if I broke the NDA and let the whole world see who Julian Pierce really is?" "He'll sue you," Kendra said immediately. "He'll take everything." "What everything?" Simone laughed, bitter and hard. "This apartment I can barely afford? The car that's one breakdown away from the junkyard? The money I don't have? Let him sue me. Let him try to silence me again. But this time there will be witnesses. This time there will be video. This time the truth will get out before his lawyers can stop it." Kendra stared at her friend. This wasn't the broken woman who'd cried on her shoulder for months after the divorce. This wasn't the defeated single mother who'd worked 3 jobs to survive. This was someone new, someone harder, someone dangerous. "You're serious about this?" "I've never been more serious about anything in my life." "What about Zora?" Simone's face softened just slightly. "I'm doing this for Zora, so she grows up knowing her mama didn't just survive. She fought back, so she knows that when someone tries to make you small, you don't accept it. You make them pay." Kendra was quiet. "Then what do you need me to do?" And that's when Simone smiled. Not a happy smile, a warrior's smile. "I need you to help me plan the greatest revenge Atlanta has ever seen." They worked through the night. Simone at her little kitchen table with her notebook and laptop. Kendra pacing and strategizing. Both of them fueled by righteous anger and the kind of friendship that makes women dangerous. First, they researched Vivian Alexandria Carmichael, light-skinned, biracial, raised in Martha's Vineyard, Yale educated, Instagram influencer with 500,000 followers documenting her luxury lifestyle. Her father was a prominent surgeon. Her mother came from old money. She was exactly the kind of woman Julian wanted, the kind who could open doors in certain rooms. "Does she know about you?" Kendra asked. "He probably told her we got divorced because we grew apart," Simone said. "He definitely didn't tell her he has a daughter. Look," she pulled up Vivian's Instagram. Post after post of her and Julian at galas, charity events, on vacation in Greece. Not one mention of his past, not one hint that he'd been married before. "He erased you completely," Kendra breathed, which means Vivian has no idea who she's really marrying. Simone's fingers flew across her keyboard. And I think she deserves to know the truth, don't you? But they couldn't just tell Vivian. That wouldn't be enough. The revelation had to be public. It had to be undeniable. It had to destroy not just Julian's relationship, but his reputation, his business connections, his carefully constructed image as Atlanta's next great black success story. The wedding has 250 guests, Simone said, reading the details. Atlanta's black elite, tech executives, his board members, society page photographers. Everyone who matters in his world will be there. Perfect audience for an execution, Kendra murmured. They planned every detail. Simone would accept the job. She would be professional, polite, perfect. She would let Julian think she was desperate enough to accept this humiliation. She would rehearse the traditional songs. She would show up early, do the sound check, be the model employee, but she would also bring her own song. And at the exact right moment, after the bride started walking, after the guests were settled, after the phones were out and recording the ceremony, she would switch the song. She would sing Still Here. She would expose every lie. But what about the NDA? Kendra asked. I'll break it. And when he sues me, I'll tell the judge exactly why I had to speak up. I'll show them the messages where he called our daughter a brand liability. I'll show them how he erased us. I'll make him regret ever making me sign that paper. This could backfire, Simone. This could destroy you too. Then I'll be destroyed telling the truth instead of silenced by his lies. Over the next 6 months, Simone prepared. She practiced Still Here until every note was perfect. Every word carried maximum impact. She documented everything, saved every text message, every email, every bank record showing his minimal child support payments. She built her case carefully, methodically, the way a lawyer prepares for trial, and she told no one except Kendra and her grandmother. Big Mama Lorraine. Big Mama had listened to the plan with her wise, 73-year-old eyes narrowed in thought. Baby girl, she'd finally said, I raised you in the church. I taught you to turn the other cheek, to forgive, to let God handle vengeance. I know, Big Mama, but that man... Big Mama's voice hardened. That man tried to erase my great-grandbaby. He looked at Zora's beautiful black face and called her a liability. So you know what? Sometimes God's vengeance comes through his daughters. You do what you need to do. And when it's done, you hold your head high because you ain't doing nothing wrong. You're just telling the truth. That blessing from the woman who'd raised her was all Simone needed. December 14th arrived. Simone woke up at dawn, her pregnant belly making it hard to sleep anyway. She dressed carefully in the burgundy maternity dress they'd chosen. Elegant, professional, beautiful. She did her makeup. She twisted her natural hair into an updo that showed off her face, her deep mahogany skin that Julian had been ashamed of. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. This wasn't the broken woman from 2 years ago. This was someone who'd survived and evolved into something fiercer. Mama? Zora appeared in the doorway, rubbing her sleepy eyes. Where are you going? Simone knelt down, difficult with the belly, and looked into her daughter's face. Mama's going to sing at a party, baby. Can I come? This was the moment Simone had been dreading, because the plan had changed last week. Zora was supposed to stay with Big Mama, safe, protected, away from the fallout. But then Simone had a better idea, a more devastating idea. What if Zora came? What if Julian's daughter, the child he'd abandoned, the little girl who looked exactly like him but darker, the one he'd never claimed, what if she was there? Not to sing, not to perform, but just to exist, to be seen, to make his denial impossible. Actually, baby, Simone said slowly, how would you like to come with Mama? Zora's face lit up. Really? Really? But you have to promise to be very quiet and very good. Can you do that? I promise. Simone helped her daughter into her Sunday best, a white dress with pink flowers, white patent leather shoes, hair in 2 perfect puffs with pink ribbons. Zora looked like an angel. She also looked exactly like Julian's mother, Mrs. Claudette Pierce. Same eyes, same smile, same undeniable genetics. Perfect. At 3 p.m., a car arrived to take them to the Georgian club. Simone had told the driver she'd need transportation for her and her daughter. Childcare fell through, she'd explained apologetically. The wedding planner had been understanding. They arrived at the historic venue, all cream and gold and old Southern money. Zora's eyes went wide. "Mama, this place is so fancy." "It is, baby. Now remember, quiet and good." Adrian Montgomery, the wedding planner, greeted them warmly. "Simone, and who is this beautiful little angel?" "This is my daughter, Zora. I'm so sorry my childcare situation fell through at the last minute." "Oh, don't worry about it. She can sit in the back during your performance." "What a sweetheart." Simone was led to a small preparation room where the string quartet was warming up. She set down her bag. Inside, 2 folders of sheet music. One with the approved songs, one with "Still Here." Her hands were shaking. This was really happening. At 4:30, she was brought to the ballroom for sound check. And that's when she saw him. Julian Christopher Pierce stood near the windows, laughing with 2 white executives, looking prosperous and polished in his custom tuxedo. He'd aged well. Success looked good on him. Then he turned and saw her. His smile froze. His eyes dropped to her pregnant belly. His face went pale. He said something to the executives and walked toward her. Simone lifted her chin and met his eyes. "Hello, Julian, you're pregnant." "Yes. Is it?" Don't ask questions you gave up the right to ask." His jaw clenched. "Simone, I didn't know you were the singer." "I didn't." "Yes, you did. You saw my name on the contract 3 months ago. And you decided it would be funny, didn't you? Having me here, pregnant, struggling, singing at your wedding while you marry someone better. That's not save it, Julian. I'm here to do a job. That's all?" She turned away, her heart pounding, and walked to her position near the stage. Behind her, she heard him mutter, "This is going to be a disaster." He had no idea. At exactly 5 p.m., the ceremony began. The ballroom filled with Atlanta's elite, black success stories in designer clothes, white tech executives networking between rows, society photographers positioned for the perfect shots. Simone watched from her platform as Julian took his position at the altar, his best man beside him, his face calm and confident. He thought he'd dodged a crisis. He thought having his pregnant ex-wife here would be uncomfortable, but manageable. A small price to pay for the $5,000 he was essentially using to humiliate her one last time. The string quartet began. Simone lifted the microphone and sang Luther Vandross, her voice filling the ballroom with painful beauty. Guests turned to look at her with surprise and appreciation. She was good. Better than good. She was extraordinary. And standing there, 8 months pregnant, glowing in that burgundy dress, she looked like victory wrapped in grace. Julian's face tightened. He hadn't expected her to look so beautiful, so strong, so unbroken. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle in champagne silk. Then the music changed. Everyone stood, and Vivian Alexandria Carmichael appeared at the back of the ballroom in her $40,000 dress, a vision of everything Julian wanted his life to represent. Simone began singing Ave Maria, the Latin words flowing like water. Vivienne glided forward, her father's arm linked in hers, her smile radiant but nervous. Halfway down the aisle, she glanced at Simone, at the pregnant singer, and something flickered across her face. Curiosity, maybe recognition, maybe the first whisper of doubt. That's when Zora stood up from her seat in the back row. Simone saw her daughter moving, and her breath caught. "Not yet, baby. Please, not yet." But 6-year-olds don't understand timing. They only understand what hurts. And seeing that man, the man from the photos Mama kept hidden, the man Mama prayed for every night, the man who was supposed to love them, seeing him standing there about to marry someone else, broke something open in Zora's small chest. She started walking down the side aisle, her white patent leather shoes clicking on marble, her stuffed bunny clutched tight. Simone's voice cracked mid-note. The ballroom went silent. Vivienne stopped walking. Julian turned. and every single phone came out to record what happened next. Zora reached the altar, looked up at Julian with her grandmother's eyes in her father's face, and asked the question that would destroy everything. "Are you my daddy?" The ballroom erupted in gasps and whispers. Julian's mouth opened and closed, like a fish drowning in air. Vivian's hand flew to her chest, her eyes darting between Julian and this little dark-skinned girl in the white dress. Phones were everywhere now, recording, streaming, capturing every second. Zora stood there waiting for an answer that wouldn't come, her small face crumpling with the weight of rejection she was too young to carry. "Julian?" Vivian's voice cut through the chaos. "What is she talking about? Who is this child?" But Julian couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't do anything but stand there exposed. That's when Zora did something no one expected. She climbed the steps to Simone's platform, took the microphone from her mother's trembling hands, and began to sing. Not the song Simone had written. Not "Still Here," but something pure and unrehearsed, a child's prayer set to melody, words tumbling out about the daddy who left, about Mama crying when she thought Zora was sleeping, about a new baby coming that he didn't know about love that stayed even when people didn't. The ballroom fell silent except for Zora's small voice. Every word was a knife. Every note was truth. When she reached the line about the new baby, Julian's head snapped toward Simone. His eyes were wide with shock and something that might have been regret, but was probably just fear of consequences. Vivian backed away from the altar, shaking her head. "You have a daughter. You have another child on the way? And you never told me?" Her voice rose with each word. "Who are you? What else have you lied about?" "Vivian, please, I can explain." "Don't!" She ripped off her veil and threw it at his feet. "I can't marry someone I don't even know." She gathered her train and ran down the aisle, her bridesmaids scrambling after her, leaving Julian standing alone at the altar. Then the back doors opened and Mrs. Claudette Pierce walked in. Julian's mother, who wasn't supposed to attend, who told him she was ashamed of what he'd become. She walked straight to her son and slapped him hard enough that the sound echoed. "I raised you better than this," she said, her voice breaking. Then she turned to Zora, knelt down and whispered, "Hi, baby. I'm your grandmother, and I love you so much." Simone watched it all from her platform, the destruction, the exposure, the reckoning. She watched Julian's perfect world collapse in real time. She watched the phones recording everything, knowing this would go viral within hours, knowing his reputation was finished, knowing his business would suffer, knowing he'd finally pay for what he'd done. She picked up her microphone one last time and said clearly into the silence, "My name is Simone Janae Carter, and I'm still here." Then she took her daughter's hand and walked out, leaving Julian standing in the ruins of his own making, finally facing the truth he'd tried to bury.